Manchester United. One time they're going to get one as well is Green and a goal! Oh, Jimmy Greaves has done it!
Better at this football club. There's a huge difference between being negative and being realistic. I just don't agree with you. You're totally wrong in my opinion. We're doing it again. We're getting carried away far too quickly.
Yes, good evening. Welcome to maybe a week early, but a very festive looking Spurs review. Perchy wanted to wait till next week. I'm away on holiday next week, so he gladly moved it this week. We have got, look at the guests we've got for you. We've got two very quiet, timid people who are scared to share their point of view. We've got Will from Tottenham away. How you doing, man? You good?
I am doing good. I'm doing good. How are you guys doing today?
Yeah, man, we're good. I think we're good. Yeah, I've seen Perchy a lot today, but other than that, we're good. Danny Kiriakou, who didn't turn up the other week, he's turned up today. How are you, man? You good? How's life?
I'm very well, Sav. Very busy, as you know, but I'm glad I could come on this show today, and I want to make up to you as well for last week. So thank you for having me again.
No worries, man. No worries at all. No worries. Listen, hopefully you all enjoyed the intro. Hopefully everyone's had a great day of watching football as well. Where to start? Danny, let me start with you. Sorry, Perchy, how are you, mate? How are you? You good?
I'm good. I've seen you enough today. I don't need an intro anymore.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I know you're good. That's why I didn't need to say anything. Danny, let me start with you. Listen, we wanted to watch a team that plays football. We wanted to watch attacking, free-flowing stuff. We've got that for certain parts of a game. Didn't quite manage to get the win today. What did you make of the game, the lineup? What did you make of the whole thing, mate?
So when I first saw the lineup, I think it was like he was listening to a lot of Spurs fans, like wanted to see something a bit different. You know how all I've been hearing from people all around social media, YouTube, whatever, is that people want to see something different, like not the same lineup again. And he played a lineup which I think no one expected that he would play today. I mean, it was playing Lo Celso, Kulu in the number 10, playing Brian Hill, Johnson at right wing. It's kind of what loads of us have been saying, right? And he played it. And I was really optimistic when I saw that team. I was like, do you know what? There's a lot of technical players in that team, and they can, if they're going to try and play the way that he wants them to play, I think it could be a good game, right? I'm not saying we're going to win, but it'll be a good game, more competitive, right, than what we saw last week against Wolves, or before against Wolves, because that was just atrocious. And it was going so well until Bentancur got injured, because for me, he was the influential player in the team up until the point he went off the pitch. He was just running the show. I think we had the control of the midfield. He was just showing he was showing how good he was. But I know your thoughts on Bentancur, like about he's not a world-class player, but he was showing quite a lot of class on the pitch today.
Yeah,
and just his balls through, his movement, going past people, keeping possession, and it was such a gut-wrenching feeling when he went off, because for me it kind of felt like the moment when Van der Ven went injured against Chelsea, I was like, oh, we're done now. It's finished.
Yeah, it's done.
That's how I felt, right? And I think for me, that's where we lost the game, is when he went off the pitch. And it was weird because I was a bit annoyed. I was speaking to Ben from We Are Tottenham TV at halftime, and I was saying what was really annoying me was that Son he wasn't like, when they went 2-1 down, they weren't like, he wasn't jeering up the team like saying, come on, he's the captain. He's sitting there with his head down. I'm like, what are you doing? But anyway, overall, right, I'm not disappointed. I mean, look, we lost the game, right? We lost the game. It is what it is. We didn't get any points from the game. And I didn't, to be honest, I predicted a loss. Before the match. I said we were going to lose. I thought we were going to get beat 3 or 4-1. So 2-1, to be honest, is not bad. But with that midfield, I didn't really expect much. All I can say is, for me, the positives that I got from the game today was Kulusevski in the number 10 role. I thought he played pretty well today, right? I really liked seeing him in that number 10 role. And I think Ange has seen that. And I think Ange will probably use him in that number 10 now. As long as there's no other more injuries that we actually need to use him back on the right wing again, I think he will stay in that central position. And he'll probably keep playing Bryan Hill and Johnson on the other wings. And the other plus for me was Lo Celso. I thought Lo Celso had a pretty good game. And I think our chances of getting a draw in that game died when he got taken off for Velis. I think as soon as Velis went off the pitch, Lo Celso went off the pitch, for me, that was when there was like no hope left. That's how I saw it when I was.
Yeah, I mean, Will, did you feel the same when you saw the lineup? Obviously, it was a lot different to what we saw last week ago or 2 weeks ago against Wolves. It was like he'd been listening. What was your first thoughts when you saw the actual lineup?
Well, I mean, first thoughts, I was actually watching you guys on my drive home from Missouri this morning. Your pre-match show, at least up until the game started. And then, yeah, I was excited about the lineup. I mean, look, the amount of damage that we have in our squad right now, there doesn't leave you a whole lot of options. But I was excited to see it. Like, hey, at least he's trying something,
Yeah.
People can't really complain too much about the lineup, depending on who we had. We didn't see Dyer, which nobody wanted to see. We saw Kulusevski in the 10 role, which I thought he played all right for, especially in the first half. Second half, maybe not so much. He seemed to be drifting out more to the right than I think he probably need to. But yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Danny. For me, look, I think we deserved more out of this game than what we got. I think that even in the second half, not playing as well as we did, we still created more chances than them. We still had the ball more than them. I think it was just an unlucky day. Like, I mean, how many times did we hit the woodwork? 3 times? I mean, how many
offside goals as well?
Yeah, half. Well, look, the offside goals today, except for maybe one, I think were all pretty much offside, right? Like, it was pretty clear. I think there was one in the first half where it was like, VAR, get that one right. But look, it came down to a set piece and a goal that I think there wasn't anyone really at fault for, other than it was just Watkins took a great shot and a half touch. Like, he didn't even get a full touch on it and put it past Vicario. I mean, there are players that didn't play well, but there are players that always don't play well, right? So, like Real, for example, I thought in the second half he looked really shaky. Like, just couldn't even make a 5-yard pass and keep it on the ground, right? Every single ball he played to Davies was bouncing across the pitch. He was slipping and tripping over balls and stuff like that. And it's
bad times, Will, isn't it? It's bad times when you're looking at Ben Davies and thinking, "Thank God Ben Davies is playing." Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, 100%. Oh, at least Davies is there.
And for the Arsenal fan that said, I said Aston Villa we will definitely beat Aston Villa. When did I say that? 5 weeks ago, maybe? Like, because I literally said on our show on Thursday that we would draw them. We would get 1 point.
People don't forget. I get people remembering things I said on Twitter in 2010 or something.
It's one thing to not forget, but during when circumstances happen, watch what the person says like last week. Because I literally said last week we would draw Villa. I never said we would beat them. So I don't know where he's getting this from. We could easily beaten Villa today. Easily. Even if they buried all the half chances that they had, we still had 4 or 5 more chances than they did. So
it should have been 3-0 up in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, listen, we could have been. Just I'll play devil's advocate for the sake of the show, and then I'll go to Perchy. Yeah, we could have been 3-0 up, but let's be fair, they had 2 glorious chances in the first 5 minutes as well. It could have been 2-2 after about 3 minutes of the game. It was absolutely crazy. Perchy, I'll come to you. Obviously, I know your feelings on this. We spoke earlier, but for everybody in the show, look, it's almost like this pattern with Spurs seems to be a thing now, doesn't it? That first sort of 20, 25, 30 minutes, we go at teams with pressing, we're overloading, we're having chances. And it almost feels to me that teams are almost sort of like, okay, if we can get over that 25, 30-minute period, Spurs will blow out and then we can start playing a bit. And it felt to me that's very much what Villa did today. Am I looking too much into that? Or is there... I'm looking at Luton, I'm looking at Fulham, I'm looking at today's game, Chelsea. It feels very much that we're going a million miles per hour and then blown out very quickly. You're on mute.
Key mistake.
My mic's mute. I do apologise. I'll break it down for you. I'll go from a bit of positives and a bit of negatives after, and we'll try and make it yin and yang it. Positives, first half an hour, some of the best football I've seen us play all season, let alone for a very, very long time. I thought that first half an hour, we were explosive, we were brilliant. Yeah. Villa couldn't stand us. Now, I'm gonna move it. My biggest concern is we do this a lot. We don't capitalise when we're on our pomp. Yeah. And I think we could have, as Danny said, we could have scored 3 goals in the first 15, 20 minutes, and you'd have gone, we probably deserve those. We looked brilliant. Kulu hit the post. The doggy's got to do a lot better for his, and these were in the first 5 minutes. Granted, so positives there, brilliant. And I love Kulu as a 10, worked well, lot better. Lo Celso was a blessing in disguise, looked really good. But on your point, do we burn out? We do. And my worries is we don't have a plan B, so to say. It doesn't necessarily have to be a plan B, but when we're burning out, it feels like we're still trying to do the same things as we are 5 minutes into a game. And it's like, and I get it, by the way, I completely get it. These are players that have got to learn under a new manager. They've worked 14 games in all competitions under this manager. They've got to understand, and they've got to get to the fitness levels. I made a point when we did the watch along. It was on the match reaction show after. Had very much similarities to Jurgen Klopp at the start of his Liverpool reign. Jurgen Klopp at the start of his Liverpool reign had to go through this period. So, because we are burning out very quickly, but we're not capitalising at the beginning of games when we should be.
Yeah, I mean, it is Perchy.
Go on.
Go on.
I
was going to say, what I saw as well, right, is it's not just even the burning out. I think it's the problem we've got as well is this. We all know this, right? It's the squad depth, right? Just look for me. It's when I saw Bentancur playing today, I was like, wow, this player has made such a difference already. And it just looked like the players it just took the whole wind out of them as soon as he went off the pitch. Like he was down on the floor. He looked really upset. He was down.
Certainly for 30 minutes.
Hands on his face. What's that?
Certainly for the next 30 minutes, it took the wind out. Yeah. It seemed like towards the end, we kind of started to get back a little bit of that.
We did. But
it took a while.
But for the rest of that half, it's like they didn't know what to do. And I think it's a massive problem when you take away someone like Bentancur compared to what we have on the bench and what's left in the squad. He's a quality player compared to the rest of them, if you put it like that, right? And I think it's a massive problem when we don't have anyone who's like of a similar type of player we can bring on to try and give us the same type of impact. Because what I saw, Lo Celso, when Bentancur went off, he kind of stepped up a bit more and he started being the more like the person who was trying to be the creator of the team. And I think he kind of rose a little bit into that role. Like he was doing some really nice stuff today. Good passing. His passing was accurate. He did some few nutmegs, and it's like he really wanted to like try and make something happen, which I like to see. But we still need more players, because as soon as Højbjerg came on, as much as he did a few decent things today, right? It's not enough. Like you could see the creativity just gone. We lost that. We lost the control on the ball. Like for me, it's the retention ball of the ball. That's what we lost when he went off the pitch.
No, I agree, Danny, with that.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, I agree that obviously Bentancur was a big miss when he went off. I truly believe as well, though, that by the 60th minute, Bentancur would have been as tired as the rest of the players. I love that hectic style of play that we adopt in the first 25, 30 minutes of games. But Will, I just wonder whether there needs to be times when we pick and choose to do it, because it just feels like, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, I've never seen a team that can do it for 90 minutes. And unfortunately, like I said earlier, what it feels like is Villa in that first half, we didn't let their midfielders breathe. They didn't have time to take 2-3 touches and pass out. Second half, when we ran out of steam a little bit, McGinn, Tielemans, who came on and played well, and Douglas Luiz, I felt, Will, like they had a couple more seconds each time they got the ball. So they were able to find Bailey down the channel. They were able to find Digne. And that, for me, was a direct result of us dropping off the steam. So do we need to be a little bit more selective rather than full pelt for 30 minutes to begin games? Is it sustainable?
Well, I mean, it's sustainable if you're putting away your chances, right?
Yeah.
So
sure.
While they had a few chances, I mean, it's not our fault that what's his name put a header wide. It's not like it was on target and it was a great save from Vicario, right? Like we shouldn't be allowing them to have that header, but we're going to concede. No team goes through an entire game without allowing any shots on their goal, right? Or shots at all, period. So we're going to concede a chance here and there. And look, you could be negative, and you could, look, any fan out there that watched that game today, or any rival out there today that watched that game today, any banter that you're throwing at us is simply just biased banter, right? Because there's no one who knows the game at all who could have watched the game today and say, like, we didn't dominate that game for the vast majority of it, right? The latter half of the second half and then the entire first half. So for me, it's as simply as that, yeah, we've been a bit unlucky. I think that we were a bit unlucky against Wolves, and we were a bit unlucky today to not get 3 points in both of those two games. But I'll tell you right now, we're doing a lot better than I thought we would in the current situation that we're at. To be honest with you, like at least I see right now that if Romero, Van der Ven, and Madison are all fit today, we win that game. And I could say the exact same thing about Wolves. Whereas like in the past, last year, you couldn't say that. You couldn't say if these three players are here today, the win is 100%, right? Like confidence, the chest, right?
Do you know what?
I can easily say that watching the last 2 weeks or last two losses.
You know what, Will? I was saying this after the game, some of us, and we were saying that what's so good to see is that, like you said, the amount of injuries we've got, we're still able to try and play the way we want to. And even just looking at that makeshift defense, right? What was that? 4 fullbacks in defense, right?
Yeah,
4 fullbacks.
Single center back.
That's 4 fullbacks, right?
Danny, it wasn't. It was 3 fullbacks.
It was 3 and one
someone,
guy
there was 3
around.
fullbacks and one guy that looks like he's won a competition to play for Tottenham.
Oh, okay. That's right, that's reality. Yeah.
Get him out of my club.
I agree, right? But on paper, you're right. But on paper, it's 4 fullbacks, and
I was hoping
if
Barry
you look
would
at
be
that
on the
Villa
show
team,
today,
right?
so.
That Villa team is playing very well, right? And today they were poor. They were really poor. For me, Villa, they didn't deserve that win, right? And I was surprised that they didn't play better, and we dominated that game, majority of the game. And that's how it is. We're just very unlucky that we couldn't finish, and it's kind of been a bit of. It's kind
Danny,
of
I'm going to ask: is it unlucky? We've had this all season. I keep hearing the word. I'm playing devil's advocate again. I keep hearing the word unlucky. We're not finishing anybody off. It's not
No,
like
it's
not like we're putting teams away and then today we were unlucky. This is a recurring theme, isn't it?
It's because we don't have quality players up front who can finish their dinner. That's the problem.
I agree.
We don't have clinical.
So that's not unlucky,
strikers,
is it?
right? No, it's not. It's well, yeah, okay. Let me rephrase that. It's not unlucky. It's the fact that we don't have players who can put the ball in the back of the net, right? And if Son's not scoring, right, then none of them can put the ball in the back of the net, right? That's the problem we have. Kulusevski's not really a goal scorer. Johnson, he's not really a goal scorer. Brian Hill, he couldn't hit a barn on even if he tried. He's nice dribbling in that, but he's the most uncomposed player there is when it comes to in front of goal. He's just so bad in front of goal and in the final third. Even though he had an okay game today, but it just final product was awful. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And that's
so can I ask then, Danny, let me ask you then, and this to everyone. Let me ask you then, does this go to, by the way, Spurs have just conceded a fourth, so it's Man City 4, Spurs women 0. Not Man City's men, by the way, it's Man City women 4, Spurs women 0.
Premonitions next week, is that what you're trying to do there?
Yeah. It's not hard, it doesn't got all 4. Doesn't this go to, though, like, when we're saying we haven't got those clinical finishers and we don't have the players good enough up front, we spent half the Harry Kane money, if you want to call it that, on Brennan Johnson rather than buying a centre forward. We spent another, I don't know, someone will give me the exact number, was it 25, 30 million more on Coglou? So we've gone and bought all these players and none of them are goal scorers. So do we have to take a little look at that and go, hang on, we're unlucky in games, but this is what we bought, guys, isn't it? This is what Ange bought. We were told that no one would come through the door that he didn't want. He bought these players. They're not clinical. Can they become clinical? I mean, what do you make of all that, Will? Like, is it?
Well, no, I don't think that they can necessarily become clinical. I mean, Brennan Johnson, maybe he's pretty young, right? Is he going to get a lot better? Probably not. Could he get a little bit better? Probably. For example, that one where he was pretty much in on goal and kicked it straight at the goalkeeper. Could he work on putting that a yard and a half to the right or to the left? Probably. Kulusevski, for example, I think the only real clear chance he had was that one in the first half, and he just hit the bar. That one for me, I think he hits that one in training 9 out of 10 times, and this was just that one time out of 10 that he didn't. Son's one of them, the ball came back to him off the post and he just clicked it. That one for me, it was hard to tell if he was even offside. I mean, he was in an offside position.
Yeah, he was offside. He was definitely offside.
But the ball, when it came through, wasn't played to him. So does it count really? Like, it's hard to tell with the new offsides log as it comes off the post. Is that the same thing? Because if the keeper touches that, it's not offside, right? That's the difference between the new rule and the current rule. And it's just a tough one. One of his, he was clearly offside. I think only one of his runs was really poor. There was one of his 3 goals that got chalked off where his run was onside and it was just played like a half second too late. And that for me is just clinicalness in all regards to every aspect of our game, from the midfield and everything. Like we're seeing things. We're just a half second too late, a half second this, a half second that.
But Will, is it worrying though? Is it worrying though that when Son doesn't score, we don't, like, I'm not talking about the odd goal like today from Lo Celso, but we haven't scored more than 2 goals in a game for like 9 league games now, and we haven't scored more than 1 in our last 4 games. Is it 3 or 4 games?
Yeah,
so isn't that the worry?
100%, and it's a worry too for me that again, there were several times today when Brian Hill. It was worrying to me to see that Son created the majority of our big chances, and he's our striker, right? Like the ball should be. How many? I want to see in this Postecoglou system the same thing that I saw at Celtic. I want to see the wingers finding Son's feet in the box. Like that's how you're going to get Son to score goals, not on the rare counterattack that we tried to get on Conte, because we 2 of those offside goals came from counterattacks to Son. You know what I mean? Like, it was recover the ball, 1 long pass over the top, and it's just frustrating to me that Brian Hill and Kulusevski or Johnson aren't creating more chances from the wings. That's that's been, I think right now our 2 wide forwards is our biggest weakness. As big of a weakness as Madison has been, as big as a miss as Madison's been, is having 2 wingers that can actually create for us. Because Bentancur was creating. I thought Lo Celso played really well in the first half. He was breaking lines, threw balls in, and our attack seems to end in the wide areas. You know,
but do you know what?
They really do.
You know what it does? Go on, Perch.
No,
sorry. It might have been. I heard one of you speak.
I think we both said it at the same time. I was just gonna say, before I do say it, guys, come on, over 300 of you in here and 87 likes. Let's get the likes up firstly. Whilst
our likes at the moment, by the way, are 1 in 4. Like this is one in 4. We should be 1 in 2.
Sounds like Emerson ground duels.
Easy,
levels.
come on. Let's do that now.
We've got Emerson likes. Smash the likes if you think Emerson is rubbish. Smash the like button.
Yeah, there you go.
Go on, Perchy. Go on.
Biggest like.
Yeah, do you know what? I actually agree with what we were saying. I think our wide players don't create enough. However much I give a lot of praise to Brian Hill today, because I thought he worked really hard. But I said it on the watch long, his end product's not good enough. That final pass or the final shot, and you go, come on, like either go for goal or find the right pass. I thought he worked hard, and then I look at Johnson on the other wing. He did a bit in the first half. I thought a lot of the good work happened on that left hand side in the first half between Udogie, Lo Celso, and Gill. Between the 3 of them, kind of worked quite well. Johnson had a couple of good moments. I just felt at the moment it stutters, and again, we don't really have the creativity without James Maddison. I feel like I just repeat myself, right? I don't necessarily agree with what I'm saying about we deserve to win. I think it's all well and good saying that, but we don't take our opportunities, and I think it's all well and good saying, we deserve to win. We had the better chances, but it is, I think someone mentioned, I can't remember who said, it feels like an ongoing thing. We start really well for the first half an hour of games, but we don't necessarily take those moments. And then we when you only score 1 goal in the first half an hour, you give an opportunity to the other team that when you're a bit tired, you can get back into game. And that for me is a slight worry.
Go on, Seth.
For me, it's we're giving the chances to the wrong people, right? That's the problem.
Yeah, I get that.
We're really hurt because up to this point in the season, up until Madison got injured, those chances were falling at Son's feet. And for me, the only chance that I really even saw, half chance that he had, was that one who was off balance behind him and he kicked up over the bar in the first half. Other than that, other than the 3 offside goals that he had, he didn't have any. I didn't see any other shots in the whole entire game.
No.
But
also,
they're all fall into people who can't finish their lunch. It's like and this is the thing. Yes, there are negative things that we can say and we could get better, but we all knew our squad was real thin. I mean, look at the difference between the subs that Villa could make and what we could make. You're bringing on Bailey. You're bringing on, you're bringing on all of these, the quality, and we're bringing on Oliver Skip, right? Like, so I mean, it's a huge gap there. Yeah. And look, forget the results, right? Forget the result at the end of the day, and forget the result at the end of the game for Arsenal. Which game would you rather be watching if you're a fan? Arsenal beating Brentford the way that they beat Brentford, or us, losing to? Yeah, you want to win. You want the points, of course, right? The point of the whole thing is to win the league, to gain points, to win things. I'm talking about if you're just looking at the 2 performances, which would you, if forget that there was even an end, it's still the 90th minute, the game's 0-0. Which performance would you rather see? I'd rather see our performance today than what Arsenal did against Brentford all day long.
Do you know what I think the funny thing is and I get this leveled at me a lot. So when I say things like, I just wish we'd tinker a little bit and not be so gung-ho at times, all I get is, but you didn't want Conte. And I'm like, well, it's not all or nothing, right? Like, football doesn't have to be 10 men behind the ball or everybody flying forward. There can be a bit of a happy medium. I think the concerning thing for me to continue this talks about to what Will said is spot on. I still don't think that front three works. I don't think that we've got the right wingers. Brennan Johnson, for me, I said it at the time, and he may come good, so this could be a bit revisionary, so to speak, but I said it at the time in the summer. It just felt it was really underwhelming as a signing. And I don't know whether or not that was because Kane had gone, and it was like, right, we've got some money now, let's go and buy someone, or because it was yet another right winger. However, there were a couple of moments in the first half where I thought he looked dangerous when he ran at his man. A couple of times when he ran at his man.
Yes.
And then this is what I'm going to say. I think Postecoglou messed up in the second half when he took Hill off, then moved Brennan Johnson to the left, completely ruled him out the game. He was completely ineffective from that moment. Put Kulu back to the right, where he's been largely ineffective this season. That, for me, is when I said to you during the live stream, during the watch-on, Perchy, I think that's just sealed the game, because I think that I think at that moment we just went back to being really ineffective. Can anyone explain to me, why did Postecoglou do that? Because Brennan Johnson looked better on the right. Kulu looked good, not loads of end product, but looked good in the 10.
He looked better.
Yeah, and then he reverted back to it, and I was like, why have you done that? Like, well, I think it just baffled me.
I think it comes from simply just having a lack of choices and depth on the bench.
Exactly.
Right? For example, you saw what he wanted to do, because all managers are going to start the game the way that in the manner that they think is the best possible option, right? And then what happened is like you said, around that 60-minute mark, you could see tired legs, and he's like, I need to have, because in his system, the amount of pressing and running, he needs to have fresh legs. And so when you're taking off a player and you're bringing on the likes of Oliver Skip, or you're bringing on the likes of Højbjerg, things have to change. And unfortunately, now that you've got Skip there and you're bringing Skip on from Brian Hill, you can't throw Skip out on left wing, right? So you got to.
Couldn't he have gone? Sorry, but just really, really quickly, and I'll jump back out. By the way, the Spurs ladies are 6-0 down now. It's getting a bit embarrassing every time Man City have a shot. It's going in. Fast forward to next Sunday. That's all I'm going to say. Couldn't he have gone, like, if you were going to make that substitution, take Hill off, put Son out there who's already on the pitch, and bring Valise into the number 9? I don't understand why we had to change the whole dynamic.
I don't think he trusts Valise enough yet. That's what I think that is, and that's why he didn't do that.
Sure. But I think the key, because that was actually what I was exactly going to say. I thought when he brought on Skip and changed it and went back to Skip, Højbjerg, and who was the other? Was it Lo Celso? Sorry, as your 3 at the time. I think I'm right, and that was your 3. And I just went, it felt very disheartening. You went, oh, really? Like, I wouldn't have minded chuck it. Like, Valise, I get that, but then he did bring him on at the end, so I kind of go, well, we did bring him on the pitch, so, but.
He keeps bringing him on when he can't affect a game, doesn't he? Let's be really honest, though. He brings him on as like a...
Because he doesn't trust him.
Sure. But I just don't understand it. To take one player off, you took 2 players. Listen, I'm not saying Brennan Johnson was great, but you took Brennan Johnson and Kulu out of positions where they were doing okay, and then they both sort of became pretty ineffective. And I just thought, it's just weird for me. Just me. I think it's just a lack of
choices. For example, if I think Solomon's there, if Solomon's there, I think he's just a like-for-like sub for Brian. Solomon, I think, what I mean? Look, and we continue on with Johnson on the right. That's. I think for me right now, it's simply just a lack of choices. He needs the fresh legs to run the intensity runs, and that's all that it is. And then for Saul, Spurs legacy number 602, I haven't seen Arsenal play well since Bournemouth, so I don't know what you're talking about. But so
love it. Will against the chat. I love this. It means I don't have to go against them. Will against the chat.
You know what? Do you know what's promising, right? I have more faith in what his vision is and what he wants to do, because from what I see from him and majority of his decisions, he seems to learn very fast which players, what their capabilities are like, and what they can offer him in the system, right? I think I think, like Will said today, I think the decisions, I was confused why he did that about bringing Brian Hill off, because I thought he was been all right on that side, right? And then when he moved Johnson to like you said, Sav, to the left hand side, and Kulu was back on the right, it was the game. It kind of just died. And when Lo Celso went off, for me, that was like the final straw. And I think it's just lack of choice. We had two youngsters on the bench today and 2 keepers who it's just like what else do we have? We don't have any other attacking options apart from Velis, and that's it. And he's not really proven player yet. So it's just like I think why I'm not too annoyed by it, because like Perchy, you said before, for me, there's still write-off season. This is a building season. Like
sure.
I'm looking forward to seeing what Ange can do in the next couple of windows by getting a couple of 3 or 4 players each window, and then we can see what he can really do. Because I think if he gets the players that can play his way, it will be like it was at Celtic. It will be like for like. He'll take off a left winger, bring on a left winger who can do exactly the same thing as the one that was just taken off. He's fast, he's quick, he's tricky, he's technically gifted. That's the type of traits he wants. Players, right? You can see what he wants. He wants players who are technically gifted, who are quick, who've got a lot of stamina, who can run all day, right? Because like you said, in order to play that intensity that he wants to play for 90 minutes, you can't do that with the same first 11 for the whole game.
I agree.
You have to change it, right?
Especially in the width. I think he wants 4 players on the outside. He wants two. You got to have 2 wingers that are of the same quality and the same pace.
100
and he's got to have 2 fullbacks of the same intensity.
Can I ask you a quick question on that? I agree actually with everything you say, but my point I would say here, isn't this the time to give the likes of O'Donnelly an opportunity? Because as you say, and I agree with you in the point of this is a season where, listen, it's a free hit this season where we finish because, listen, we haven't got the players that we expect. But isn't this the right time to go and give an opportunity to a youngster to go on then? We're 2-1 down with 15, 20 minutes to go. Go up there and make yourself a name out with 60,000 fans there. Go and make yourself a name and go and try and get us back into the game. Like, isn't this the right time to give those an opportunity?
I think why not? Why not?
Because that's my question. Why not do it today? Because I kind of sat back and went, I think we were watching this and I said, get Donnelly an opportunity here. Why not? What's the worst that's going to happen?
Perchy, he started warming up. We all thought that he was going to come on the pitch, and then he never brought him on in the end, right? I mean, for me, like I think this is the time where you've got to give some of these youngsters a go, because if we get any more injuries, we're going to have to use them anyway. So you might as well just give him some minutes at the end of the game, so they start edging them in. Because the way our players are getting injured, they're dropping like flies at the moment. Like next week, it's going to be Porro injured. Then we're going to have Emerson at right back and Dyer back on with Davis in the centre backs. It's just like it's going to be absolute carnage.
I think the thing is, Danny, for me, what I would have liked to have seen was, look, you're chasing the game anyway, right? When you're taking Brian Hill off, wouldn't it have given the crowd a bit of a lift as well, rather than seeing Ollie Skip come in, young Jamie Donnelly, and just put your arm around him 100%. And say, you know what, you've got nothing to lose. If we lose this game, it's not on you, right? We're not going to lose this game because Jamie Donnelly's on the pitch, but you might grab a goal, or you might give him 10, 15 minutes to savour. I just felt that the moment he put Skip on, I just felt to myself, I don't know about this substitution. It just felt a bit like everyone says rubbish. He will attack no matter what. We go for it, and then you've brought on Skip. But listen, again, I look at the other side of it and say, the options aren't there. But guys, would I be bad in saying? Sorry, I should probably get to this super chat. So sorry about this. Just quickly, Jerome, big up Jerome. Thank you so much for your generosity as always, my friend. I said, I know we lost, but we were expecting a battering against Villa. After this game, I was disappointed how we lost this game and when we played so well. Jerome, listen, thank you very much. Listen, I wasn't expecting a battering. I thought they would win by 1 goal, but I think we did a lot better than most people thought. So thank you so much for 100%. That. And then leading
also, a lot of people were expecting like a Villa Brighton scoreline, to be honest with you. There was a lot of rivals who were out there expecting. But
I would have at Villa Park. I would have at Villa Park.
Do you know why? Do you know why, Savva? Do you know why it's interesting? Because do you know why people thought that it wasn't going to be as good as it actually was, even though we lost the game? It's because he played a lot of different kind of what we've all been discussing. He played. Brennan Johnson had his first start in the position he actually plays. And as a right winger. And I think for a lot of parts of the game, he actually did all right. If you actually saw some of the stuff that he was doing when he was putting the ball in, he was actually putting the ball into good areas. Problem was that no one was in the box. How many times
Yeah.
did we have Son was like trying to be the
create more than one
pre-creator.
chance a game, though, right?
Yeah, but
No, I know, of course, but right, if you look at some of the play, right, Son was like the pre-creator of that. Son would pass the ball to him, and then Son is still at behind, and he's trying to get into the box, but no one else is going into the box. We had Lo Celso wasn't getting into the box enough. The other winger wasn't getting. Hill was hardly in the box. So why isn't more players coming into the box? That's how he wants to play, right?
The reason I wanted to lead on from that super chat, guys, is, and this might sound a little bit critical, but listen, hey, we're YouTubers, right? If we don't break it down, we just come on here and say everything's great, and then we may as well go home, right? My question is, when people are saying, "Oh, we played so well, we were so good," yes, for large chunks of it, but we also got to look at, there are large chunks of games where we are very easy to get at. I'm not saying, like, to your point earlier, Will, yes, no team goes through a game without conceding chances, unless you are the elite of the elite, and no team goes through games without conceding chances. But for me, the worry is that, we said it in our watch-along, Perchy. I said it bang on 60 minutes. I said, I've just got this feeling, Perchy, that we're dropping off here. I've just got this feeling that Villa are going to start to pick holes. And they did. Villa, then it seemed, picked and choosed when they went forward and when they didn't. And that is the worry for me. I think what we're doing here is, because we're all so happy that we're not seeing what the football we saw last year, I think we're just saying that every game we're playing well. I'm worried that we're not ever trying to plug the gap. I'm worried that we're literally just going with one plan. And even when our opposition gets on top of us, we're not trying to, we never have a 5-minute spell. We go, right, just sit, just chill, just kind of contain. Does anyone know what I mean by that? I'm not being negative. It just feels like it's inevitable.
I hear what you're saying. I just don't think that right now we don't have the depth in order to do that, really. I just think that we're missing pieces to the puzzle. And like, for example, I mean, the first goal is a set piece, right? Like, we've always been poor at defending set pieces. We have been for years now. And then that second goal there was really just kind of gave the ball away in a tricky spot. 2-3 passes and it's in the back of our net. And how many times have we seen that this season? You know what I mean? Where it's just like, it's just like,
just to add to that,
one
Will,
stupid mistake. And it's usually the players who wouldn't have been starting or playing anyway that are making that mistake. So that's, for me, it's like, you're right? But the way that I see it is that, if I always try to look at the game and be like, okay, if this was Maddison, Romero, Van de Ven, Basuma, do we lose that game today the way that we played? And for me, I can think very confidently and sit there and be like, no, I think we win that game 3-4-0.
Yeah.
What I
3-4-0.
Yeah.
Oh,
really?
I think we keep doing this, Will. We keep predicting, even before these injuries. I kept hearing every week that we were going to beat teams 3 or 4-0. We never did. Like, other than Burnley,
I think
we never did.
Because we had, for example, it's because we had Richarlison playing on the left, right? Richarlison is leading this team in big chances missed, right? Or you take the game against Luton, right? If that is a competent winger, which he's not, right? If that's Son, for example, playing wing and we had a better striker, or vice versa, if we had a better wing and Son's playing striker, we don't lose. We
still wouldn't have had that. We still wouldn't have had that today with our best team out, even without Richarlison, would we? That's my point. Like,
just look at the one game where Solomon was able to play, and what was the scoreline?
Yeah, but I mean, it was against Burnley, wasn't it? This is Aston Villa. They're not Burnley.
The number of chances, though. But see, that's what I'm saying. The chances are there, right? For example,
I'm not doubting that.
If you drop quality into the places where we lack it,
I agree.
The system immediately starts scoring 4 or 5 goals a game, right? The number of high quality.
Will, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you on that.
Quality in there, but right now we're lacking quality. We all know that, right? So,
amen. But this is why when we say things like we would have won 4-0, my only worry is every game for the last 13 games, when people start predicting their scores before the game, I'm seeing so many 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. And it's only materialised in one of our 13 games, isn't it? It's only the Burnley game where it materialised. I also think that sometimes we have to realise we are giving up a hell of a lot of opportunities. Everyone does, but we're giving up a hell of a lot. Like today, when people are saying, "Oh, we should have easily won." Well, I watched Ollie Watkins. He missed a header on the line at the end there. You know, we're watching the Vicario made a couple of really good saves. He turned one onto the post as well. Villa missed a sitter with a header. So it was. I don't think it was all the one way. I think the possession was, but from chances, I think it was like 18 chances to 15. So that's a lot of chances to give up at home, isn't it? Like, that's my only worry.
But we're all.
I think
the system is going to give up chances. It's like the Liverpool system, right? They give up a ton of chances. They just don't.
But I feel like
they rely on VVD, right?
Yeah, sure. No, I
think we were giving up chances though with Romero and Van de Ven in the back line. Like,
by the way, I think they are.
I think they're massively better than what we've got at the moment. Of course they are, but we were still giving up opportunities, and we give up a lot of opportunities. Yeah, we managed to get away with some of these opportunities, which is absolutely fine, right? But I think the key bit here is I think our biggest issue is I don't think it is at the back. Yes, listen, we're going to give up a lot of opportunities at the moment when we've not got Van de Ven and Romero in our back four. I think we're fair and justifiable to say that. But I think the key bit here is it's down the other end. We struggle to take opportunities at the right time. Like, and I saw, as I touched on at the beginning of the show, like when we are in the ascendancy, you go, come on then, get the second, get the third. Let's proper put this early on to bed. But we struggle, and it happened way too much. And it was happening with Romero and Van de Ven in the back four, where we then allow the teams to get back into the game, and with lesser oppositions, we get away with it in a sense, but we're still giving away those opportunities, right?
I mean, Villa's definitely not a lesser opposition. They've what I think they've scored the most or second most goals in the entire league.
No. What I'm saying is we're giving away those opportunities when we had Romero, Van de Ven, when we were playing the likes of.
You're going to with this. You have to. You will.
Yeah, that's the thing. In this system, you're going to give those type of opportunities.
Yeah. But my point is that the stronger the opposition are,
but there is no stronger opposition than this attacking wise in the league right now, right? Aston Villa have scored.
Oh no, Man City next week are a stronger outfit.
I'm saying, but they're right here with Villa in the number of goals scored and chances, in shots on target, in shots, right?
Yeah, I get what you're trying to say.
They're very close to each other. Now, that's Man City without a De Bruyne, so he's going to unlock even another gear to that Man City team. I'm just saying, as in the league right now, Aston Villa is the best at scoring goals from the chances that they create. You know what I mean? And so we've seen that best, right? For example, I just think that you have to. Look, I'm surprised because I watched from Wolves last week where we had 3 shots on target, 2 maybe, right? Maybe 6 shots in the whole game. To today against Villa, who I thought played a fairly high line in the first half, and we just absolutely tore them apart when they wanted to play the game that they wanted to play. We were just there. I didn't think they looked like they could do anything against us. Really, we had a couple half chances, and from set pieces and stuff like that. But then the second half, they sat back deeper, right? They didn't give us as much space behind. And there was a little bit of a shift in momentum around that 60-minute mark. And then after the goal, they sat way back. And they just, frustrated the crap out of us. And I thought that we started to get into it a little bit there towards the end. But at that point, it was too late. We didn't have enough legs or enough energy. Now, for me, I just tried to look at it going forward. And once we get past January, once we start getting people, it's going to be the same thing, right? If we buy players and it adds quality to the squad, the results are going to. But the positive thing for me coming forward is we will get those players back. And the way that I see that we're playing right now, once we have those players, we went on a 10-game unbeaten run. Who's to say we can't do it again on the second half of the season? Because we're playing the same teams,
I think if you add to that as well, right? I was very surprised by the performance with the players that he had at his disposal, right? For me, that's the most promising thing that I take away from this game is the fact that he was able to, even though we lost the game, we still showed something today, which I probably wouldn't have seen under Conte or under the last few managers that we've had, considering how many injuries we've got to that squad. And that just leaves me more hopeful that once we do get those players back and we add to that with some more similar players to the type of players that Postecoglou wants, I think it's going to be a different Spurs team once we get that squad a bit more stronger.
Listen,
Like today, put it this way, Sav. If we have a bench today, right, of the matching quality of Villa, I think we win that game today.
Yeah, listen. Quite possibly. I'm just here to play devil's advocate, right? Quite possibly, but I think what we've ended up doing a lot lately is say, I think if this had happened, we would have won. If this, look, we need to get to that position, and obviously it's not going to happen in one window, and that's why the January window is really important. Then the summer we go again, because like you look at, you can only use injuries as so much of an excuse. You look at Newcastle right now. So we said,
no, of course, but
look at Newcastle's their injuries compared to ours is tenfold. Like their injuries compared to ours is massive.
But look at their bench. I think they've got a better bench than us, Sav.
Hang on, Danny. Yesterday, Newcastle's bench had 3 goalkeepers, Matt Ritchie, and 3 teenagers on the bench.
They had 2 senior players, excluding goalkeepers, on their bench.
And they beat Chelsea 4-1.
Dummett and Matt Ritchie were the only 2 outfield first team players on their bench.
Listen, just quickly, I want to talk about our defence. Before I do, first of all, listen, our goals to ratios today was awful, but so is 412 of you in the chat and 141 likes. Guys, likes are everything for YouTubers. If you could smash those likes, we should be at 250 by now. Everyone could just go over and please quickly smash the like. It's the little thumbs up button right below where you're typing your comments into your phone or your computer or your TV, whatever you're on right now. So please go and smash that. A super chat
just one thing, Sav. Oh, go on.
Go on, mate. Go on.
I was going to say, no, just to add as well, like if you look at what, like if you compare like us to like under Conte, right? If Conte put out that team today, I don't think we'd have played half.
Oh no, of course. Listen, of course. But listen, the real cynics will go, okay, but it doesn't matter, we lost. But listen, we'll come to that in a second. Jeffrey LH Cass has said, thank you so much for the super chat. Really do appreciate you. Has said, I think Son's overall game was actually good and he was a lot more involved than before, but he really lacked awareness when it comes to offside traps. We'll talk about, I'll come back to this. I'm going to save this and come back to it. We'll talk about Son in a little bit because obviously he's carrying the can, I suppose, for the forward line. So let's come back to this in a bit. I wanted to talk about our defense, guys, because I saw a comment. I think it's Stel. I think is it Stel? I think this might be Stel in the chat.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah, it's got to be Stel. Said, guys, the reality is the last 2 games by playing more experienced players, we've been in the game. We've only lost by 1 goal each game. I'm all for playing kids, but then we will lose by even more. I want to disagree with this. When we're saying all for playing kids, I mean, I don't think anyone's suggesting that you play 3 or 4 of the kids at once. I don't think that's the point. But I'm going to ask you this, and I'm going to start with you, Danny. Had Spurs had started Dorrington or Phillips, I know Phillips was injured today, but it wasn't last week. If we had started Dorrington over Emerson Royal today, what difference would it really have made? Even if Alfie Dorrington had come in and made a clanger as a kid, why is it just assumed that if he plays, suddenly we'd be worse at the back? Because I thought Emerson Royal today was horrific. Horrific on the ball. His passing out the back he's one of the worst footballers I've seen. Forget defenders. One of the worst footballers. So why would we automatically lose by more if an Alfie Dorrington played instead of an Emerson Royal?
I think the only reason you'd think is that maybe he's not ready for that level of pressure and he might make more mistakes than say Emerson would make. And then what that does is maybe some of the people in the fan base are like, oh, why did you play the youngster? Look how many mistakes he made. And it puts a lot of pressure on a youngster who's never played a professional match, like in the first team, right? And you want to, with the youngster, for me, it's not about being ready ability-wise. It's being ready to take that the mental side of the game.
Yeah, they shouldn't be a footballer. Look, this is silly.
Yeah, no, I agree.
If you can't take the mental pressure of actually playing the game, then just
no, of course. But the problem is, right?
Playing.
It's not for us to see. It's how Ange views it, right? If Ange feels that he's not ready to take that responsibility on, then there's a reason why, right? So maybe he needs a bit more time to, I don't know, to give him a few minutes first. Let him have a bit of a run around, look, 10 minutes at the end of the game, see how he does, just see how he copes with it all. I don't know what it is. We don't know. I don't know Dorrington himself. I don't know him personally. I don't know how Ange thinks about Dorrington. But I'm just giving my opinion.
I'm sure you gave him the opportunity to say, sure. I don't think he's going to turn.
Yeah, but maybe there's a reason.
Or couldn't it elevate him?
Why isn't Donovan playing?
Couldn't it elevate him?
goes both ways.
Let's
It
be
could
honest,
elevate him. Yeah, of
Newcastle,
course it could.
If
But
it elevates him, he becomes a great player. If it drags him down, then you sell him. Get rid of him. Who cares?
Look at Newcastle yesterday. Newcastle had a horrific injury list and played a 17-year-old in central midfield. They played a 17-year-old in the engine room. My worry is if you can't play Phillips or Dorrington when your first two choice centre-backs are out, your third choice centre-back, Eric Dyer, is out of favour and not being played, and you're playing Emerson Royal at centre-half. When does Dorrington get minutes? Because we're now saying, in essence, that he's 6th or 7th choice centre-back. I just don't see what could he have done that was worse than what Emerson Royal did today? I don't know. Will, what do you reckon?
Nothing. Even if he had, it's the fact that it wasn't Emerson Royal would have been a positive. Even if we lost 4-1 today, and it was kids and they were giving their best,
I agree.
Wouldn't care.
But
I think the fans would love to see it, right?
Because De Groot is not letting this go. De Groot will still finish above Arsenal.
Right. Go on, Perchy. Go on.
I think when we talk about likes of Dorrington, and not just him, by the way, there's a few others. Donnelly was on the bench as well, but I think this is the key thing when we sit about the youngsters and stuff. Newcastle played 4 academy players yesterday. 1 started, 3 came off the bench, and they battered Chelsea 4-1. By the way, Lewis Miley's assist for the first goal, Alexander Isak's goal, was absolutely brilliant, by the way. It's a pass I've seen Bentancur do today that was brilliant, but it was really good. And the thing is what's the harm in trying? I'll stand by it. What's the harm in trying? Because if he has a bad game, he has a bad game. We move on. It's not the end of the world, right? But he can't have been any worse than Emerson Royal was today. It can't have been possible. Emerson Royal runs like he's in treacle all the time. His passing is awful. Where do we go down the line with it? Because why is it other football clubs manage to give youngsters an opportunity? Liverpool put what's his name? Quanish.
Kwanzaa goes
Kwanzaa,
in.
that's what he goes in. He goes in at centre half.
Everyone, Man United. He was the best player on the pitch before he came off.
Who?
Oh, Kobe Mainoo.
Yeah, him.
But yeah,
he was playing very well today.
Every other football club, and when I say I mean big football clubs. We're talking about Newcastle, Liverpool, Man United here. Chelsea do it all the time. Man City do it all the time. Mate, it was only last season when they brought in the likes of Rico Lewis. He got an England's call-up not too long ago. So my point being here is what difference does it make? Is Alfie Dorrington going to be the biggest difference to us getting absolutely battered today or losing 2-1? I don't think he is. I don't know.
Yeah,
is my question.
It's what. Yeah, but this is our opinions, right? It's what the manager thinks at the end of the day. Personally, I think we will see.
That's what we're here to do. Is give our opinions.
Yeah, of course. I know. Of course.
We're here for.
I'm psychic, and I know what Postecoglou's opinion is, and it's a.
Well, yeah, but I think he will play them at some point. We've got too many injuries not to play them, right? I think he will give these 2 kids a chance at some point in the next month.
Dyer, it's like that didn't work. Chuck him out.
Yeah,
Emerson, and no, that didn't work. We're going to see him next week against City.
But Danny, isn't we've got a lot of injuries right now? Isn't that the time to play that? Because you say down the line we might play him, but when Romero comes back, Van der Ven gets back, I then don't expect the likes. Use Dorrington for this example, but it could be anyone. Use him for this example. But when they come back, he's not going to start. I don't expect him to. Right now, when we've got a problem defensively, in the sense of players out, isn't this exactly the time you go to a young kid and go, do you know what, lad? I'm going to give you the responsibility today, and good luck to you out there. Why not? What difference?
Got one more shot. That's it. It's City, and then Romero's back, right? So
but that's what I mean. I would have rather him have played at home against Villa than. Let's be honest, he's not going to start against Man City now, is he?
I don't know, man.
You've had 2 opportunities. You've had 2 opportunities. Right? One away at Wolves. Wolves don't score many goals, and he chose Eric Dyer over him. Then this week it's Emerson Royal. For me, listen, Yeah, look, there's loads of different comments. I mean, I think when it comes to youth players, guys, everyone has one of two views. I think very much I can see Will's view is, hey, if they're there, they're good enough, they're in the squad, give them a game. Then you get people that say things like it can destroy a young player's career if you just throw them in the deep end.
And it destroys them.
But
you sell them, you get rid of them.
I don't think it needs to be as deep as that, right? Like when we're talking about throwing him in the deep end, we're not talking about. I'm not talking about throwing Alfie Dorrington in at the Etihad next week. We're talking about at home against.
You never know, he might do it.
Well, if he does, he does. But
the reason why I think he might do it is because maybe they need it because they weren't training a whole lot with the first team before. Maybe he's giving them a couple weeks to get in, learn the system, be able to play this way. And then boom, now he's gonna play. I mean, we don't know, but listen, it doesn't matter for me. Like I said, I wouldn't hold. Look, if you're a Spurs fan and you're watching this right now, and he played the kids today, and you held their performance against them in the current situation, you're an asshole.
Yeah,
I mean, you just
of course,
right? You're
not going to blame an academy lad if we lose. Like, exactly, I agree.
And you're not going to blame the manager either, right?
Of course.
Why are we playing around like, oh, you don't want to destroy them? Like, seriously, are they so weak that they can't come in and play a game of football? Right? Like, I mean, seriously, if they're that fragile of a player, they shouldn't be playing for our club in the first place.
But Will, let's look at this side of it, right? For all the people saying, "Oh, they're not ready," he's in the squad.
Yeah,
he's in the squad. If
sitting on the bench,
right? If Ben Davis or Emerson Royal had picked up an injury today, who has to go on and play centre half?
Exactly.
Right. So none of this. Oh, the manager can't think he's ready. He's in the squad. He's there. He's playing for England midweek. He's playing for the England under 19s or whatever.
On the flip side, right, it could be a good thing, but because I think as a fan base, right, that crowd inside when they see a young player come on the pitch, like an Alfie Dorrington or like a Donnelly. So many people around me today, they were like, "Bring on Donnelly, bring on Donnelly." It will cheer up the whole family. It will get everyone excited because you're bringing on a youngster. And it might bring the energy up in the stadium because I'll be honest,
Danny, I agree with you. It would have lifted the stadium if he was the one that came on for, I don't know, it doesn't matter.
Emerson Royal.
If he brought
Dorrington
for example, right? Like you're right. It G's up the crowd. The crowd get behind a youngster. Every time it happens, you get behind him and you go on, lad. It didn't happen, but just imagine he comes on, scores the equaliser, he gets the man of the match because they give. It's just something that could happen.
You know what, Perchy?
Yeah. Let
me ask you this, Perchy. That goal that Watkins scored, I thought like him and Tielemans wandered through Davis and Royal way too easily.
Bad defending. Awful.
If that had happened, if Dorrington was on the pitch and that happens, I think most of the fan base with half a brain turns around and goes, yeah, he's a 19-year-old kid. It's his debut, nerves, blah, blah, blah. When it's Emerson Royal, I'm expecting it because we've got to stop. I'm going to say this, guys. We have got to stop, right? First of all, Space Jam, listen, dude, listen. I've seen all your comments. You do this every time. Anytime someone talks, you say this isn't Football Manager, but it kind of is like Football Manager because this is what Postecoglou's job is. He's a football manager. But big up to you. Love you as always. I'm going to say this, right? Emerson Royal, as I've said, is one of the worst players I've seen in a Spurs shirt. I truly mean it. His touch, his control. He can't pass the ball 5 yards properly. The ball gets stuck under his feet. His defending is awful. The manager chooses to pick him as a right back to play centre half over Phillips last week. So Dyer last week was picked over Phillips. This week it's Royal over Alfie Dorrington. What hope do we have for these youngsters? When can they get minutes? If they can't get in above Dyer and Emerson Royal, when can they get minutes? We're not in a cup. We're not in the Europa League or the Conference League. When are Dorrington and Phillips going to get minutes? What's the plan?
I think you'll see it, Sav. I think you will see it. Honestly, in the next month or so, right, up until Christmas, I think we'll see those players play. I honestly believe they'll play because I think Ange's not stupid, right? If he sees them making the same performances, he's the person, from what I've seen from Ange, right? I believe he's someone that once he sees something like mistakes too many times are made, he doesn't give players many chances in terms of if they keep making the same mistakes. He'll get out of that team, put someone else in. Look what he did today. He did a team lineup that no one expected, right? No one expected that team lineup today. And I think you'll see that again with some of the youngsters coming up in the next month or so. I honestly believe they'll play. And I think it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, I think Donnelly will definitely get a chance. Donnelly will definitely get a chance.
Donnelly maybe, but like, well, that's a good point. In which game do you think he puts Donnelly in?
I don't think he'll start them, but Donnelly. I don't think Donnelly he'll start. I think Donnelly will come on as a sub in quite a few of the games. Dorrington, I'm not sure on. It depends on how he feels with Emerson. If he feels that, like, if you saw today, right, and he looked at Emerson's performance and be like, oh, I don't know about him now. Should I give? If Dorrington, it kind of goes back to what we were saying before, right? Maybe they've brought him into the first team squad training now. Maybe he said he wants to see something a little bit more before he says, right, you're ready for it. Like, and I think maybe he's just waiting for a little bit more. He said it the other day in the press conference, pre-match press conference. He was saying the players, if they train hard, they're going to get chances. The players who deserve to play will play. And I think that applies to everyone. That will apply to someone like Dorrington. If Dorrington trains hard and he feels that he's ready to give him a chance, he'll give him a chance. And over Emerson, over Dyer.
But Danny, I'll be a little bit devil's advocate on this one, but is the only reason that he was on the bench was because Ashley Phillips has just got picked up an injury with the under-21?
Yeah,
so
probably.
My point being here is when you say, oh, he wants to see, but isn't the best time to go and see him on the pitch? I know what you're saying, and I get it. Like, you need to see him on the training pitch and stuff. But right now, like when we say about an opportunity, isn't this exactly the opportunity? We're missing our two main centre halves. We're missing also Phillips and all that. Like, this is exactly the moment to go, do you know what? I'm going to put a young centre half in at centre half. I'm going to give him some responsibility, and let's see how he gets on. Because let's be honest, if he puts him in against Man City, you could argue that is the worst opportunity because he gets eaten alive there. You don't want to get him marking Erling Haaland for argument's sake. Like,
you never know, Perchy. It could be the opposite.
Trossard, Rice,
of course it could be the opposite.
And you barely beat Brentford. What are you talking about? It took you 89 minutes to score a freaking goal. What are you talking? There was nobody missing out of your lineup against Brentford. Come on, Arsenal fans. Have some shame.
Is Will having a different conversation?
I love it.
I love it.
By the way, just in case,
I'll give you an example. Just one example, Sav, right? Look at Tanganga when he made his debut against Liverpool. He had an absolutely brilliant performance, right? Obviously, we know how his career has gone. Unfortunately for him, it's a lot of injury problems. But you could bring in someone like Dorrington, and he will play for the badge. Like he'll want to prove a point. So you never know. It could be the opposite. He might have, if he brings him in for next week against Man City, you could have an absolute blinder of a game. And it'll give him all the confidence in the world.
No, Danny, of course, but just a circumstance is always a great example of this, isn't it? Like, but at home against Aston Villa, home fans behind you, whereas the Etihad away from home, like, if you had the opportunity, you'd have gone, do you know what? I'll give you a go today and see how you get on. Because then if you have a good game, you'll start in it. You're going to go, like, earn your place to go to the Etihad, for example. Like, listen, he could come in and do brilliantly. He could come in and have a nightmare. We don't really know. But I think for me, it's just like, do you know what? When is the opportunity? Because we always say, oh, they're going to give them an opportunity. But the opportunity is now, isn't it? Whilst we've got so many players out.
This is the point. I mean, if we can't play them when we've got these players out, and especially in the area where two of our centre-backs are out injured, it's not like one's out and we're going, oh, all right, well, we can just put Davis alongside Van der Ven or Davis alongside Romero. Both of them are out and still haven't seen one of Phillips or Dorrington get 1 minute in the last couple of games. Listen, people will say, yeah, this is Ange's job, but we're here to give our opinions. I think it's one of those ones that if you sit there and go, oh, I don't want to see the youngsters, you get told off for not liking the youngsters. If you do want to see the youngsters, it's, oh, they're not ready. All I know is they're in the squad. I'd love to see a few of them get a couple of minutes. I'd love to see Jamie Donnelly get a run out for 10 minutes. Yeah. You know what? You never know. The ball could drop to him 20 yards out with 5 minutes to go and he pings one in the top corner. He makes himself a hero. That's then given the feel-good factor throughout the club. The rest of the youth team then suddenly go, oh, my God, if I can get myself into the first team. So for me, I do think it's a bit strange that we haven't. For the last 15, 20 minutes, guys, just quickly, please keep smashing the like button. Thank you to everyone that has liked and has subscribed. We really, really do appreciate you. For anyone that wants to know, it's the 100th minute here, and it's Man City women 7, Spurs women 0. So a day to forget for the ladies team. Guys, for the last 15, 20 minutes, I'm going to talk to you about the Man City men's team because we are playing them in 1 week. Guys, can anyone offer hope? Because I'm looking at how we played from a defensive standpoint today and from a defensive standpoint of Wolves. And I am absolutely crapping my pants as to how many goals Man City will score past us. Is next week purely a free hit and we know it might be 3, 4, 5 down and we just move on? Or can anyone give any hope that we can contain what City have got?
I mean, the only way we can contain him is to keep the ball away from him, right? So that's going to be the only. Can we do that? We do have Basuma coming back, right? So that fills that Bentancur shaped hole that we had, and hopefully Bentancur's injury isn't serious. I haven't heard anything post match. I went straight to sleep because I drove literally all through the night to get home today. Look. We're away to City, right? So, no, I mean, look, is there any of us gonna be so shocked if it's 4 or 5-0? No. But for me, I just want to see, right? Because everybody keeps saying so far this season, everybody's been saying if you play somebody better, if you play somebody better, if you play somebody better, right? Well, next week we're playing somebody better, the best, right?
Yeah.
So. If we keep it close, like we have in every other game so far this season, even when we've lost, bar the Chelsea game, then it's going to show positives, right? For me, because that's what I keep thinking when I'm watching it. How does the system affect? How does the system work against this team? How did it work against Arsenal? We were the better team on the day. Liverpool, we don't know because of the situation, right? Mm-hmm. It's there. That's what I'm trying to see. That's what I'm doing this season. Is I'm especially as a YouTuber, as a pundit, as somebody who comes out here and has to talk about the game. I'm learning every week. For me, it's a new experience every single week. I'm trying to see, okay, where are the holes? How can it work? Because look, you Arsenal fans, Liverpool fans, and everybody else who's out to get Spurs right now, get it out while you can, right? Because y'all couldn't beat us when we had our team, and when they come back in a couple of weeks. Right, it's going to be up to you to actually say that we're dropping off, right? Because if you're going to go out there and brag, haha, you lost 2-1 to Villa with Emerson Royale and Ben Davies as center backs, I would have been like, duh, right? Like, there's nobody. I'm not sitting on the football terrace 3 weeks ago thinking Emerson Royale and Ben Davies is going to be playing center back, right?
Yeah.
No, that thought's not in my brain when I say, yeah, we're going to beat Villa. Right? That's, you know what I'm saying? Us beating Villa is Romero and Van der Ven and Madison in the team. Right? There's no prediction that was coming to consequence where I think Madison, Romero, Van der Ven are all going to be out for, a month. There was no concept at one time where that entered my brain, right?
Yeah.
Maybe 1 here, 2 here, right? And you're making things work. But right now, it's even just adding a look at the difference between last week and this week with just dropping a Doji in there.
Yeah, right, sure.
And so that's what I'm saying. If you sprinkle quality, once we start getting a squad, the league better be scared. And I'm not saying City should be scared, but the rest of you should be scared. Because if we start sprinkling some quality and some depth in here, I don't think that there's many other teams, bar City, that can touch us once you put quality in the system.
Well, let me listen. Big words there from Will. Everyone should be scared of us. I mean, Perchy away at Man City. I know Will's saying keep the ball away from them. This is a team that had something like 69% possession against Liverpool, and Liverpool's first team. This is our depleted side. if we go with what we went with today, this is the conundrum. We talked about this briefly earlier. There's a huge difference in what we did last week. I thought was too negative. What we did this week was very good, very positive. Can we get away with this starting 11 away at the Etihad?
Never say never is always my motto in life. But look, if we're going to do the law of averages, this Man City team. No. Never say never when it comes to football. But
who are you kidding? Romero, Emerson Royale, and Ben Davies in the back against that team.
Yeah, I mean, it does terrify me, Danny. It terrifies me because, but listen, I think, do you know what? It's one of those. I think. Listen, what I would say here now is, it's a free hit next weekend. It's a free hit. That old adage line. Yeah. Listen, if you get something from the game, you go, do you know what? It's a point or 3 points gained. If you don't, you go, we're not expected to win anyway. So I think we need to not worry about what happens next week unless it becomes an absolute capitulation, right? Unless it becomes an absolute capitulation, then I get very, very then you start going, okay, the inquest has to be talked about. But if you're still in the game and you're competitive in it against these, what's to say that there aren't positives you can get out of it? That's the way you've got to look at it. I think you've got to look at it from that perspective. Do I think we get something? If I'm betting, and I am a betting man, I'm not putting money on Tottenham to beat Man City. Let's just put it, like, if you're going to put it in that context.
Has Perchy just tried his very best for 2 minutes not to say we're going to lose?
An odd sprinkle, £50, to drop the odd sprinkle, maybe. Right?
You've heard it here first, guys. Perchy thinks we're going to beat Man City 3-0 next week. That's what Perchy's doing.
Because my bets never come through, I might put a £5 on Man City to beat us, knowing it's going to probably lose. Because anytime I bet, every time I bet on bankers, it all goes wrong. So I might put a £5 on Man City to win just to prove that it's not going to work out.
Voodoo, right? There is a little bit of City voodoo.
You know what?
Does like a goal against City, so.
It would be the most Spursiest thing if Spurs
It'd be great.
somehow managed to win.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But on top of that, you'd need, you know what? You would need Emerson Royale to play like Maldini and Ben Davies to play like Nesta in order for us to have a chance of winning.
Mate, listen, they couldn't cope, right? They couldn't cope with Kalajdzic. Then they couldn't cope with the next level up today that was Ollie Watkins. Next week they're playing against Erling Haaland. Now, let's be honest, this is the elite Premier League striker. This guy, I mean, one chance, one goal. Like his chance at the weekend, just pressing, wins the ball, goal. I'll be honest, I'll say it, 'cause I don't think anyone else will. I'll say it, I'll be a villain. If we only concede 4, I'll be grateful.
I'm
genuinely worried. I'm genuinely worried about what they're going to do to us. Genuinely.
Right. Yeah, I'll put something on the. I'm going to put something on the line for us to beat. If we beat, and I'll say it's because I'm hosting the Spurs review next week Sunday. If Spurs beat Manchester City next week on the Spurs review, I'll give away an Emerson Royale shirt for one of you unlucky viewers.
I thought you were going to make it an incentive. Why give away Emerson Royale shirt?
Because if he goes, because Danny's saying he could have a defensive, he could play like Maldini. There you go. Listen,
I love it. I love that we start trying to fight. Are we saying, is this about Man City? Yeah, but they only had one shot in the second half, so they're not on fire. Bearing in mind, they were playing the second best team in the country, like with their best back 4 out. This is playing against. Look, I'll be honest, guys. I'm really worried about Porro as well. We're talking about Royale and Davis. I think Porro is horrible defensively. Going that way, he is brilliant. Going this way, he is. Oh, sorry. I'm really worried. I'm really worried.
That bad defensively?
I do. I think he's terrible defensively.
Yeah.
Everyone, you watch every team
that bad. I don't think he's as bad as you make it out.
Danny,
he's good going forward. He can't.
Danny, let's look at our last 4 games. Right, today, everything Aston Villa did in the first half, especially, was down the left-hand side with McGinn and Digne. Right, they clearly targeted him. You look at Wolves. Everything they did was through Bellegrad, right?
Yeah, Bellegrad
running at Porro. Took him to the cleaners every single time. Sterling for Chelsea. Everything Chelsea did in that first half was Sterling down the left-hand side, running at Porro. Crystal Palace, everything they did was running at Porro. I think it's a brilliant footballer. Don't get me wrong, footballer, but defender. I'd love to play against him if I'm a left winger. I don't think positionally he gets it. I don't think he's got it. Sorry, just me.
It's just the trade-off you got to make, though, right? Like, he's no worse defensively than Trent Alexander-Arnold is, right? So, for me,
man of the match, Trent Alexander-Arnold?
Yeah, that guy's horrible defensive.
Save it for Tuesday.
Will, I agree. I was a bit sarcastic. I did a watch-along for Man City. Watched Doku rip Alexander-Arnold to pieces all game, and then Gary Neville went, I'm going to give my man of the match to Alexander-Arnold. And I went, Doku is going to ruin Porro. Are we all ready for that, right? He's going to ruin him.
He's had a couple of games this season where he surprised me, and it tended to be
Man
the
United
ones.
he did.
And then Arsenal, I thought he played well against Arsenal.
Yeah, he did.
But for me,
I think. Sorry, go on. Will.
It's just look the quality that they have. You know, to be honest with you, I'm more worried about Haaland in this game with his pace, right, and then playing that ball over our high line. And you know, if Van der Ven was there to match his pace, because the only person who's faster than Haaland in the league right now is Van der Ven, and he's not here. So I'm telling you, that's a huge miss for us, man. In this system, with what we rely on, he was that guy, right, who was putting in that last block on the run and stuff like that. But I don't understand why people in the comments are even talking about it's going to be after the City game, it's going to be Romero and Emerson. No, it won't. It'll be Romero and Davies. Why the heck would Emerson play at left center back? What sense does that make?
Yeah, be Romero and Davies.
Let's use our brains. Davies has played, and I thought Davies played well today. Like, he wasn't great.
Yeah, he wasn't the worst. Yeah,
but he's always a steady Eddie Seven. Like, that's just all he is every single week. Like, he never shocks you. He never gives you anything good to say, but he never really makes any dumb mistakes. And it's going to be Romero and Davies going forward until Van der Ven gets back, and hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. But you know, and it's. For City, I just want to see it, man. Like, I really got to wait and see, because if we keep them, say the scoreline, we lose 3-1, right, against City with this squad right now.
Oh, you take it.
Yeah.
You take it.
You're
like, no, you would. You would. Listen, I consider, in a backwards way, if I'm going to try and watch it as best I can. I'll be on a beach in Cape Verde, just saying. But I know. So, dodgy hotel Wi-Fi, that kind of stuff. If I sit there watching it and go, oh, Spurs have only lost 3-0, I'll be honest, I won't look at that and go, I'm really embarrassed. I genuinely think that I've watched Aston Villa have 15 chances against us today. I watched Wolves last week. Let's be really honest, guys. If Cunha and one of the others, I think it was Lamina, had if they could finish.
Yeah, Lamina, yeah.
Listen, I get it. I know what people are saying. Like, hang on, we played. Yeah, hang on, just quickly, Danny. Really quickly. It's really quickly. Sorry, because this was going to lead me on to this super chat from George Gooner. Big up, George. Who do you support, mate? Let me know in the chat. He said, the thing is, you don't play any more the style of football that used to cause City troubles. I'll put on my white Arsenal shirt next Sunday, though. Now, he's got a really good point, guys, because when we say things like, but we beat City, it was always when we did sit back and say, break us down. This team hasn't, even if they wanted to, hasn't got the capability to say, sit back and break us down. Even
under Poch, the matches
City were pretty... but it was a different Man City team. Do you know what I mean? This is the Rodri, Haaland, Vardio era. Do you know what I mean?
Because you're talking Aguero era there. I think they were a little bit more deadly, to be honest with you. But I mean, Haaland, I think he's a great player. I think he's the best striker in the league, right? There's no doubt about that. But I'm saying that was a Aguero time too, under Pochettino, and we would still get results against them. And look, they should beat us, right? If they don't beat us, then we need to. It shouldn't be talking, and nobody should be talking about Tottenham. We should all be talking about, can this City do it this season? Because if they don't beat us right now in the state that we're in, they've got problems.
It's on them. Will, it's on them.
Let me ask you guys a question. Yeah, if we played the way we did today against Man City next week, right, and we actually give it a go and we actually have some good football in certain moments, but we lose the game 3-1, wouldn't you be happy with that to show that at least there's positivity that even with a
even if we lost like 5-3, I'd be happy.
Yeah, I would be. I would definitely take that.
Be a banger.
I would take it right now because for me that shows that what Ange's trying to build at this club, once he gets the players, the squad that he wants, I'm on the levels of where the Will is. I think Tottenham are going to be a different team. People got to remember,
I
right?
think we could be, Danny, but back to Will's earlier point, like we're going back an hour and a half now to one of Will's points, is he said about sprinkling the quality. For me, though, I've got to see it because so far the attacking players I've seen us sign, I'm not talking about attacking midfield, the wide players and the forward players I've seen us sign under Postecoglou haven't been impressive. When you look at Solomon, Kulu, Brennan Johnson and Valise, that's the 4 attacking players that we've signed under Postecoglou. So yes, I agree with what Will said, sprinkle that quality. Do I believe that Spurs will go and buy that quality in those 2 areas?
No.
Now we're in a different conversation, which we won't get into this week, but that's the big thing for me. Had we have not got Brennan Johnson and had gone and got a Doku, had we have got a Santiago Jimenez, now I'm thinking, yeah. But when we signed Brennan Johnson, I got so much flack on the last day of the window because I said, this screams to me as a squad player. This is a player I think who every 5 or 6 games will do something good and we'll go mad about him. But this isn't the guy that every week is going to torment fullbacks. So I don't know. I just feel a bit underwhelmed. And I don't know. I mean, Will, is that fair? Like, do you see what I mean? Like you're saying, sprinkle that quality, but where are we buying that quality? Will we pay for it?
I think that's what they were bought for, right? Like, I think the initial plan was Son to play on the left, right, and Kulusevski to play on the right, and Johnson's a squad player, and Solomon's a squad player. And Brian Hill, we're trying to get rid of him in the summer, and it just didn't happen. I think that was the original plan, right?
Yeah.
I think Postecoglou's got different eyes now, and I would hope, it doesn't have to be 2 because we need 2, but even if it's just 1. Even if it's right because Rafinha's not getting playing time at Barcelona, and we just bring him in on a loan. Right? Could you imagine the difference between Rafinha,
massive,
on that right versus
Will? I completely agree with you.
Yeah,
I completely agree with you. This formation with 2 wide players that actually hurt a team.
Nico Williams and Rafinha on the wings.
This is the same Rafinha. This system would play to Rafinha's strength just like the Leeds system did. You would see that Leeds.
I get that.
In this system.
Will Rafinha was the player I wanted when we were after Richarlison. They should have tried to put the money down before Barcelona came and got Rafinha. That's who I wanted. He's a top player, man.
Swap Romero for him, but if you're talking Lo Celso plus 50 mil. Let's do it all day.
Chuck him Richarlison as well. Give him Richarlison as well. It's fine.
They can take Charles.
Richarlison to go where? Barcelona?
Yeah. Take him there. Take him there as well.
I mean, the Barcelona fans. I mean, they were laughing at us for taking Royale, and now now we're hoping that they'll take one of ours. All right, listen, guys.
Just a loan. Why not a loan?
I agree.
Because we've gotten guys that have struggled to get minutes from Barcelona before. We seem to have a weird working relationship with them. Look, if they hey, he's not really in my plans, or I've got other players that I want to put there instead, but you want to keep minutes, you want to keep Rafinha's legs, fresh. Why not loan him to Tottenham for 6 months? We're not playing in Europe.
I'd love it. Do you know what? I watched the end of their game yesterday, Barcelona, and there was one thing that Rafinha did. He got the ball, beat 4 men, and whipped it across to the back post, and I went, I don't ever see our wingers do that. Like our wingers are incapable of doing that. So listen, I agree though. I think we're on the same page with this. Sprinkle that little bit of quality. I still think we need some quality at fullback as well. I like a doggy, but he's young. I think we need some backup there. And I do worry about that right back position. I do really worry about it because teams will just get the likes of Doku and go, right, run at him. just run at him.
Do you know what? Do you know what? Do you know what I honestly think of why they signed Brennan Johnson? I think obviously one because of the British, the quota in the squad, right? But I also think that I believe, right, that they see him as the replacement for Richarlison, because I think from very early on, Ange knew Richarlison was never going to work in his team, and I honestly think Richarlison's going to go at some point in the near future, and maybe if it's not in January, it'll be in the summer. I think they're going to try and get rid of him, right? And I think Johnson was brought in to be his replacement, and I think he's a better player than Richarlison, right? And then I think, like what Will said, I think that they're going to try and bring in maybe another 2 wingers, because if Bryan Hill does go, I think this is like his last chance saloon this season. If he ends up going, they have to bring in another winger, right? So for me, my perfect winner would be someone like Rafinha, but I know it's unrealistic. But someone who I would
don't think Alone's unrealistic at all.
No, but I know I'm talking about like actually signing a player, not alone, but if we were actually signing a player who I would love in this team, Nico Williams would be the perfect player. He would be.
But he's out of contract. He's out of contract, isn't he? That's the thing. But you know that there'll be everyone wanting him.
Look, guys, I do need to wrap up. As Henry's show is starting, and I have put a redirect over to them. To be fair, and when it's the other way around with times, they do it to me as well. So listen, first of all, thank you everybody for that. Listen, I think we all agree that there's some great stuff here. We're looking forward to the future. I think we can all see what the vision is, what the plan is. And as always, it's over to Mr. Daniel Levy to put his hand in his pocket and make these things happen. We're back to where we always are. Will, thanks so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate that. I know you're on with Mo later. Is that right?
Yeah, 6 p.m. Be on with Mo. Yeah.
I know you're on with Mo, so enjoy that. Danny Kiriakou, thank you for turning up this time. This was very nice of you.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Always, Danny. Always. Perchy, big up. Listen, a great day of streaming from me and you. High five, brother. Right. Everybody in the chat, thank you for the super chats. Thank you for all of the likes. We are 3 subscribers now away from what our target was going to be for the overall day.
Come on.
If 3 of you on your way out,
come on,
guys. So
Smash
kind
the button
to smash that subscribe button. That'd be great. Subscribe to Tottenham on Tour. Subscribe to Tottenham Away as well. The links
Especially all
are
the Gooners
in
crying in the chat. If you guys aren't hitting the subscribe button, you're wronging. So
yeah,
just
listen,
like your manager.
Gooners, subscribe. I always welcome you here. You never get banned. Just smash that subscribe button. Everybody take care. Please, when you get over to Henry's channel, please type in Savva Raid, hashtag Savva Raid. Enjoy their show.
No, go Perchy Raid as well. Don't forget that.
Savva and FHTV Raid. Sorry, I just get so used to saying it. And everybody, take care. I'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
One last comment.
Go on.
On your Christmas thing, your little bulbs down there look like boobies.
These? Yeah, I can see what you mean. Yes. Yeah. 4 Christmas boobies. 4 Christmas boobies.
In between the 2 balls. You got
Yeah,
balls and boobies down there for Christmas. I like it.
Absolutely. So listen, 3 of you on your way out, smash the subscribe, play nice, take care. See you later. Bye, everybody.